Hey everyone, here are 5 surprisingly great albums of 2024 so far. Obviously, all my opinion. Let's get right into it. The first album I'll be talking about is from this artist that I actually got introduced from my old manager. He was going to this artist's concert and we didn't know who it was and what their music sounded like, so he shared us an album and immediately I dig the sound a lot. So when I heard that this artist was dropping an album this year, I had to listen to it and I was impressed and very surprised at how good it was, considering I don't really listen to pop rock and this type of genre a lot. I'm talking about this artist right here. Not Tyler, the creator. No, he didn't drop this year, sadly. But no, this artist, Maggie Rogers, Don't Forget Me. Amazing project right here, and just really goes to show her personality through this project. It's very catchy, very showing of her vocal ranges. She hits some really nice notes and she has a lot of depth within her voice. And plus, this type of genre, I feel like it's kind of popular, but she made it catchy. At least for me, I got hooked to a lot of the songs immediately. I enjoyed almost every single song, almost every single one of them got to my playlist, and just amazing ranges with all of her different vocal tones. And she also shows a lot of her personality. And one of the greatest parts about it outside the album was when Apple Music was making their top 100s list of the albums, they left out a big album, To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar. They left it off, completely off the list. But Maggie, in a separate interview, right, she said
To Pimp a Butterfly for me is the record for him. So
she advocated for it. She thought it was a beautiful album that had a lot of meaning to it, yet it got snubbed. Other than that, this artist, Maggie Rogers, she's incredible. You guys have to check this album out because if you like pop music, which almost everyone does, right? She brings another flair to it, almost country-like in some aspects. I know some people might be turned off by country, but she does it really well, and she has some rock elements of it as well, and just makes everything super catchy. And there's a lot of great moments, especially right here in this snippet right here. I'm gonna show you guys from this one song from the album that I really enjoyed. And it was amazing. Just give it a listen. I know that maybe I'm late to the game with her music, but she is phenomenal, and I wish I discovered her sooner because this was surprisingly great with an 8 out of 10 from me. So definitely check it out. Amazing project. Next album I'll be talking about that really surprised me this year. This can only be described as fitting in the EDM genre. Alright, I didn't know much about this type of music until this year. Just kind of grouped all of EDM together, but definitely fits in its own category. This album by Iglooghost called Tidal Memory EXO. I know, it's just a lot of random words I just threw at you guys. That doesn't even make sense in my opinion, but trust me, this album, let's pause for a second. Pause. Look at this aesthetic album cover right here. Look at it. He's like literally bringing a rusty DJ set into the ocean and performing in there. And I don't know what it means, but that's exactly what you're feeling from this project, all right? This genre of music can be described from Rate Your Music, where I kind of classify all my genres, as deconstructed club, as well as some grime elements. So think of 504 type music, that type of production mixed with some glitchy, bassy, industrial, if you want to use as an adjective, and even experimental, like EDM music. Just insane feeling when you're gonna listen to this. It might be a lot. It's a lot of different sounds coming at your face all at once, and it was just an incredible experience. It did take a couple listens to really like get invested in it and like it, but I don't know. I have a somewhat of an older appreciation to EDM. I used to love dubstep, you know, Skrillex.
Yes! Oh my god!
Right? Who didn't have that dubstep phase? But this kind of scratched an itch that I didn't know I had. This was like just a phenomenal listen. I'm gonna play a snippet of it, and if you kind of dig it, then definitely go in and listen to it. I mean, it'll just be an experience nonetheless. You might hate me for this rec, but overall, I think it's a phenomenal listen. Let me give you the snippet right here. And yeah, this album also, just like Maggie Rogers, gets an 8 out of 10. Surprisingly great. For the next album I'll be talking about, this one truly surprised me because of the artists that made this album. Alright? This album kind of follows in pursuit to what Iglooghost is. Very industrial, and it fits perfectly with the aesthetic of the album cover. I'm talking about Yëat. 2093, more specifically the P2 version. Alright? This one has Never Quit and then As We Speak. Oh my god. I never thought I'd be saying this, that I think Yëat has one of my favorite projects of the year. I despised his sound in the last couple of years. Maybe I'm not fun enough, I'm not hip, I'm not cool like everyone else is who digs this sound, but I just couldn't get myself into his sound. His voice coming like just threw me off. Like, he has great production, like Benny X would always hop on his stuff, and he would, have great bassy ass like trap music, but this new sound, I had to give it a try. Gotta listen to it. If I'm gonna shit on something, I gotta listen to it, right? But dude, this album, he knew exactly what he was doing with this aesthetic. It was futuristic, cyberpunk-esque, and Dune. If you've not seen the Dune edits with this, especially from this song right here, I'm gonna play a snippet. I had a little low. It actually goes hard, alright? Fits that aesthetic really well. I feel like I'm riding Timothée Chalamet, but in general, Yëat made an album where 24 songs. I don't like the idea of that normally. It's just a lot of music, right? It might be filler. But I added 20 songs to my playlist. Like, I loved almost basically all of that album, but just some of them are the same old kind of filler. But regardless, such a surprisingly great album. And I liked it a little bit more than what Iglooghost and Maggie Rogers had to offer. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. Just a great listen. I know a lot of older Yëat fans might not have messed around with this album as much, but God, this album, it just also did something, scratched an itch, as they would say, but just amazing. Yëat really did something. He was surprisingly great for me this year. Next, another surprising album this year. It's also about the artist, but more so because I also didn't know who this group was. And when I found out about this album, I really enjoyed it a lot, especially how grandiose it was. It felt like a musical experience, musical theater experience. And it is one of those albums that is better when you listen to it in the full length all the way through rather than skipping around, although they do have such amazing replayability within the songs and the track list. This album right here, The Last Dinner Party's Prelude to Ecstasy. This band was very surprising to me at how well they were able to blend from one song to the next with beautiful transitions, and how it was kind of like always building up throughout. There were songs with insane climaxes and build-ups, but also almost like interludes within the track list that acted as a beautiful bridge to the next one that immediately took place right after the last song and builds as a bridge to the next one. And something like that in this indie rock type genre, it was amazing. I thoroughly enjoyed all of it. Some of my favorite songs of the year are there, although it might not be something that you can just click on and go from one to the next and have multiple bangers. Just a phenomenal listen. I really recommend to anyone that loves rock, and especially this artist, the group, their vocal range is just like Maggie Rogers, so much depth to it, has such high highs. They can really hit those notes, and just a phenomenal listening experience to anyone that appreciates rock or any of these more grand type of productions with their instrumentals. I also, just like Yëat, gave it a 8.5 out of 10. Phenomenal listen, surprisingly great as well. And for the last surprisingly great album of this year was actually a project that I almost included in the last video about my top 3 or bottom 3 albums, because it was just that good. It was basically at that level of how much I enjoyed it. And this is coming from an artist or a band, so it's also another type of rock type of project, more specifically post-punk revival. Alright, I don't make these genres up, maybe I do. This band, apparently they formed around in the late 2000s, Cage the Elephant's Neon Pill. Alright, I know, I'm late to the game, I should know about them, I should definitely listen to their music and be familiar with their sound. I'm sorry, I'm not. I'm more of a rap person anyways, and I kind of gave up listening to a lot of the rock albums in a couple years ago. Regardless, I'm trying to get back into it and exploring all these different genres, and I'm so glad that I did, because this is one of my favorite projects of the year. I absolutely loved it, from especially the first 3 songs. The intro song immediately gets me hooked. I'm a huge whore for drums. If the drums are really banging, they make me really want to head bump or do something, I am instantly hooked. You just gotta pair it with some nice guitar riffs, and if your vocal sounds good, I'm already hooked. But this one really took it to the next level. It had that subtle build up as well, cheery guitars, made you feel good. Like when I was listening to this project while I was driving, felt really nice overall. Like I replay a lot of the songs, even though they might not be, I find myself really enjoying this record. I just love it from start to finish. Only one song that I really didn't like fully enjoy or love as much as the others, but regardless, I just really think that if you love rock, maybe I didn't watch or hear peak Cage the Elephant, and I gotta revisit their other music, but this one, for some reason, I really liked it. Sadly, my fellow community at Rate Your Music did not seem to appreciate it as much. Kind of gave it a pretty lower score, but you know what? You can't let that affect you, right? Alright, make your own opinions. Just like in this video, hopefully you get to listen to Cage the Elephant, tell me that I'm tripping, that I should not be liking this type of music and I have bland taste in rock. But other than that, I want you guys all to know that this one was really great in general, surprisingly great in my eyes. I gave it a 9 out of 10. Just amazing, start to finish. I really appreciate this band, and hopefully you guys all like it too. So definitely give it a listen, and thanks for checking out this video.